Hello, everyone. Welcome in to unnamed show that I'm doing after the Super Bowl. So we'll talk about the Super Bowl. I've watched most of the film and haven't had a chance to really digest and share a lot of this with you guys because I think that tweeting my way through it is probably not the best way to do it. I use other platforms as well. So let's talk about the Super Bowl. The Eagles dominate this game, and it looked that way on film. We'll kind of go through how I thought maybe the game would go, how the game went, and then just sort of bits and pieces. We'll talk a little about the Chiefs' future, obviously, as I know a lot of people that listen to me are Chiefs fans, and we'll cover sort of where I think the Chiefs go from here. Eagles, by the way, set up very, very well to continue to be very good. They have some couple free agents here and there, but for the most part, a very set roster that would, I imagine, be good next season. Need a new OC, Kellen Moore to the Saints. Let's talk about the general thought of this game first. Okay, first and foremost, this was, and maybe cover yours if you got kids around, an ass kicking, plain and simple, right? It can be that simple of a game where the Eagles came into this game and kicked the Chiefs' butt all over the field in every phase of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. When you watch the film, maybe you watched on Sunday, this wasn't tough to see. One team was playing faster, bigger, stronger, with more intensity, more energy, and that was the Eagles. And even when sometimes games start that way, the Chiefs sort of figure it out. They've been down 10 points in every Super Bowl they've been in. They had won 3 of those 4, right? So they're down 10-0. You think to yourself, okay, the Chiefs will figure it out. And Cooper Jean has an interception, and the game is over. They never figure it out. Eagles punched them in the mouth all over the field in every facet of the game. And I want to make sure before we get into the Chiefs that we talk about the Eagles first. Talk about the winners first, the losers second. The Eagles dominated this game. They came with a great plan on defense. And offensively, if I told you that Barkley was held to, was it 55-ish yards, you would have said, hey, Chiefs win this game. But Jalen Hurts was fabulous in this game. The Eagles won their one-on-one opportunities whenever that was, whether that was even A.J. Brown getting the OPI, but Dotson, kind of a double move there against Watson. Barkley picked up a nice pressure on that one, whether it was Brown at any point or Devontae Smith at any point. They won all the one-on-ones. They won all the big moments. We get into this game, we talked about how the Chiefs tend to win the big moments. Were they the better roster? No, the Eagles were the better roster, right? But in the big moments against Buffalo, against really the Texans, that game wasn't close. But even in every Super Bowl they've been in, they win the big moments. They win those one-on-ones. In this game, the Eagles won every big moment and more. And the offense was very physical up front. Jalen Hurts had something like 3.5-ish seconds, maybe 3.3 seconds to throw the football. Never pressured, never moved off his spot, never looked uncomfortable. Lane Johnson, fabulous game. Heck of a player. Mekhi Becton, how about that redemption story? Jurgens, Dickerson, Malata, these guys were fabulous in this game. I mean, Chris Jones, I think, beat the backup right guard one time. Otherwise, mostly non-existent in this game. Yeah, the Chiefs stopped the run really well. But the Eagles are multifaceted. And I think a lot of us thought if the game was a Hurts game, right? He had to be the guy. That's what the Chiefs wanted to be. He proved all of us wrong because he had to be the guy, whether it was running the football and scrambling at times or design runs, or whether it was throwing the football under complete control. Fabulous game. Defensively, the Eagles dared the Chiefs to run the football. They played a majority of 2 high safety, whether it was cover 2 or cover 4, a lot of cover 4 in this game. They brought one exact blitz the entire game. We get a discussion about blitz and how we categorize them. A sim pressure is a blitz, second level defender coming. They did that one time, but they still rushed 4. So the proper way to say it was they rushed 4 every single play of the game, even though one was a pressure, and they're able to disrupt the Chiefs. And one of the keys to the game that I thought was the Chiefs' run game and how they probably weren't going to run the football, and the Eagles game planning for the Chiefs, both, right? Chiefs offense game planning for that, and the Eagles defense knowing that. And that's what happened. The Chiefs didn't try to run the ball very much. The Eagles dared them to run the ball. When you play 2 high safeties, right? That's one less guy, one less defender in the box. You got to run the football. And the Chiefs came in the game not trusting the run game, which is understood. Their left guard, Joe Tooney, the all-pro, has been playing left tackle. Caliendo went in at left guard, and the run game has suffered since. But the pass protection has been better. Now, the Chiefs did RPO first part of the game, so that is a technically sort of a run on the sheet. That RPO, I think, third play of the game to Worthy, and had one run in the first 13 plays. They're down 17-0. So they got out of rhythm very quickly. But that's sort of the core, I think, of the start of the game was the Eagles said, we dare you to run the football. The Chiefs said, well, we're not planning to run the football, so we're going to pass the football. And they got nothing. And when you play poorly on offense, and point out the Eagles made the Chiefs play poorly on offense, right? It's never just one thing in a game like this. And that's, I think, what for hard people to understand is that, why is there no adjustments? I certainly think the game plan wasn't great because I just mentioned, right? The game plan was to pass the ball and it didn't go well. There was never a pivot to let's run the football. Let's try something else. Now you're down 17-0 after the first 15 is not even over yet. I understand. Let's stay the course. Let's stay with game plan. But the game plan was not working. Not many answers for as much quarters as the Eagles played. And the Eagles were very sticky on coverage. And they did all the right things in this game. Now, the Chiefs offense, where it all went wrong, and people are going to say offensive line. Yes, it wasn't great. Okay. But the symptoms of this bad play were many things. This is what happens when you play a bad football game for the most part, not every time, is that because it's a different thing every play, you can't ever stop the leaks. If it was just Joe Thuney at left tackle, you just have someone help Joe Thuney and say, okay, fine, we're helping you, and everyone else make a play, right? Which, by the way, the Eagles when they won in 2017, I think Peters was out. That's what they basically did, right? They had a backup left tackle, and they just said, hey, we're going to help you. And maybe it was 2022. We're going to help you, and everyone else is fine, right? But it wasn't just Joe Thuney was the problem, right? Because sometimes they did a seven-man protection. So 5 offensive linemen, a back and a tight end, and the back and tight end got split by a double team. What do you do if you call 7-man protection with 4 rushers? And 2 of them, because Thuney got beat too, left guard was late, get home. There's nothing you can do about this. And from the start, Mahomes was uncomfortable, very clearly. Right now, there are only a couple of games in Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' career combined together where they looked as uncomfortable as a play caller and quarterback early in the game. And that was a fear of the pass rush, essentially, right? And the first throw to Kelsey, that's a throw Mahomes probably makes 90% of the time, but amped up early on, those are behind him, right? You hit that throw, you get a first down. That's now 2 in the first half. Maybe things are a little bit different. There were times where the pressure didn't get to Mahomes and he was off his first read, eyes down, trying to make a play because he thought he was going to get sacked. There were times the right tackle got beat immediately. There were times that, again, Kelsey didn't block someone properly. There was a play, I think in the second sack, maybe it was a play action where Kelsey was going to block the DN and Creed Humphrey, the center, was going to pull out and hit and sort of take over. But Kelsey missed his block, I think, and turned around late. And Xavier Worthy was cutting through. It was just a freaking disaster. And so the game plan felt like a plan that was made out of fear, more than out of aggression, and we're going to attack, right? And then just sort of snowballed from there. And the Eagles, again, made great football plays. You can make the case that, Sweat should have been the MVP. I think it was 6.5 pressures, a couple sacks. Williams strip sacked Mahomes. Sweat made some plays. Brandon grabbed a shot, put Jawan Taylor into the moon and got a holding penalty. And again, the secondary was very sticky. There were no answers for Kansas City. And even when Kansas City sort of felt like they were getting the momentum, right? DeAndre Hopkins sort of doesn't really put his hands out for a pass. There was a time where Worthy was open, but Mahomes took his eyes down too early. So as I mentioned all these different things, you can see where it's hard to fix the problem, because what is the problem? It's different on every play. Now, again, you can make the argument the play calling and the play design maybe should have been better. They should have had more answers for zone. And they eventually got to those answers. But again, Mahomes was getting hit. There was a play where Worthy, it was a great, Bill Barnwell go to his dots, all the dots, and one of them had a great quarters beater. Worthy's open in the middle of the field, but Mahomes gets hit. So these are the reasons why an offense doesn't function the way it should. It's never just one thing in a game like this. And the Eagles just took it to the Chiefs. The Chiefs looked like a team who was trying for a three-peat, right? And the Eagles basically beat out of them, right? I mean, they got the Chiefs to that point. But this is a Chiefs team that we know the entire goal of this season was to win a championship, right? That's why everyone's all in, right? We're all in this together to win 3 in a row and make history. And Eagles just smacked them around. And again, they deserve credit for it. Look, I've been hard on Nick Sirianni. You probably don't want to go back to my tweets in September and see what I said about him, because remember, last season they ended poorly, started a little slow this year, and whatever happened between essentially like week 4 and 5 or moving forward. Well, I'm sure we'll get an article out about a big team meeting they had, but Nick Sirianni very clearly sort of grew up as a coach in my mind, right? Where the emotional immaturity we saw at times maybe disappeared. It seemed like he trusted his coordinators a little bit more, put more on Kellen Moore's plate, put more on Vic Fangio's plate. Now Vic Fangio sort of becomes a different sort of legacy after this game with how well his defense played. I mean, the stats are crazy, right? There was, again, I have saved on social media. I can maybe pull them up right now, but I mean, some of these numbers for like how bad Mahomes played in that first half is just wild. Negative 1.3 EPA in the first half, 10th. That's a 10th worst mark in the first half for any game since 2018. The rest of the list includes the Sam Darnold ghost game, 2 Davis Mills games. It starts from PJ Walker and Will Greer. That's a tweet from Robert Mays. I mean, they just gave it to the Chiefs. And again, it's okay just to say like that was an ass kicking, right? That's what it was. Eagles just kick their ass. And again, they're set up for the future. The takeaway, if you are trying to basically build a team in the Eagles image, and this is obviously very easy to say, is get good offensive defensive linemen, but they did it all different ways, right? You have Lane Johnson, who's been there forever. You have first round picks in Dickerson, and I believe Jurgen's second round pick. Mulata never played football before. So, Becton's a free agent, was a first round pick, and you put those 5 guys together. You trade for Brown, you draft Smith, you bring in Barkley, you draft Hurts, draft Goddard, and then defensively you add in all those young draft picks, right? Cooper, Jean, and Mitchell on the outside. You traded for Slay, I believe. You drafted Smith, and you drafted Carter, and you drafted Jordan Davis. I mean, they've hit home runs on all these big name guys. The Eagles know what they're looking for, and whether that's Howie Roseman, or whether that's Nick Sirianni, maybe a combination of both. They draft these players and then develop these players. And I know I tweeted that I think that Sirianni should get credit for that. And people say, well, it's Vic Fangio, it's Kellen Moore. Yeah, absolutely. Hiring those coaches was helpful. But Nick Sirianni hired those coaches, right? Like those are his guys. And you hire coaches based off of the scheme and the development part of it. And they have just developed all these incredible football players. And, I mean, look, I think this game be 40-6 at one point. No. But there was a chance Eagles could win this game by 10, right? Or 14, because they're a better team. So they put together a fantastic roster, a roster that is, again, inside out, which I think the way you have to win in the National Football. If you have an offensive line and a defensive line, you're in every game. You add Jalen Hurts to Saquon Barkley. You add, Smith and Goddard and Brown. You add the guys in the Eagles secondary, and boom, you have a championship team. And they're going to be here for a while. Nick Sirianni is a winning coach. Again, you might think he does some things you don't like, or the emotional maturity is not there. He's yelling at fans. I don't necessarily like that either, but very clearly got this team together to make this deep run, and they did a great job. So credit to Eagles. I'll be putting more clips out as we go. Again, just really, they were so dialed in, man. I mean, Jalen Hurts and Saquon knowing exactly where the pressure was coming from for the Chiefs, the offensive line, just IDing the right guys all the time. I mean, every little aspect of this game was perfectly Eagles, and they deserve all the credit for that, even acknowledging the Chiefs played poorly. Eagles, wonderful job, guys. Great win. Happy for everyone involved. I know Lane a decent amount. Happy for Lane. The stories of Mekhi Becton and Cooper. How about Cooper, man? On your birthday in the Super Bowl as a rookie, Super Bowl touchdown. I mean, just unbelievable. All right, where do the Chiefs go from here? I always felt that this year coming up, 2025, was going to be a transition season for the Chiefs, where win or lose this season, they have some free agents and number 87 who might retire. And so they went all in for the season, as they should. They brought in some veteran football players to make that happen. And this is going to be, in my opinion, 2025 is going to be a recent transition year for them. First, just mentally, right? They've played a lot of football, right? Think about 7 years Mahomes has been a starter. They played in 5 Super Bowls in 7 seasons. They've won 3, they've lost 2. And the 2 years they didn't make Super Bowl, they played in the AFC Championship game. The game went to overtime. So they played a ton of ball in these 7 years. And they've done something special. 3 championships. They're a dynasty. And they probably need a year mental break, right, from this grind of this. Now they're never going to do that, right? They're going to try to win championship again next season, but it would make sense for this season to be sort of this transition year where 87 probably retires. I've said this for a while. I have no information. I don't talk to Travis Kelce. I'm not friendly. I'm friendly with them if I see him, but like I'm not asking Chiefs about this stuff. But when you watch Travis play this year, he looks like a guy who's played a lot of football. He's had, I think, 200 starts in his career, postseason and regular season, like high leverage situations. We saw the last 2 games, Buffalo game and the Super Bowl. He can't get off press coverage anymore. Remember, the Chiefs started the year with Rashee Rice having a bazillion targets. The plan was Rice was going to be the guy, and Kelce was not going to have 140 targets. But he did because Rice got hurt, and Xavier Worthy's a young guy. DeAndre Hopkins got super old, at the end of the season went too. So if Travis Kelce's not there, that changes what the offense is going to be. Is it Noah Gray? Is it a draft pick? How does the offense evolve without Travis Kelce there? Well, yeah, we'll find out next couple of weeks. And there's a possibility too, by the way, that he says, I'm stepping away, and then come June, his body feels great, and he comes back. Who knows? But even if he does come back, it feels very pitch count-esque, right? We're going to design an offense with you there, but knowing that we're not going to rely on you as much as we have in the past. So the offense will transition a little bit to something else. Rashee Rice is a good football player. He'll be suspended for some of this season. Xavier Worthy very clearly got better throughout the season. The last play, the last offensive play when they scored that touchdown to Worthy, that was against backups, whatever. It was great. I had the over. It was fantastic for me. That has to be part of the plan next season. They got to try to push the ball a little bit downfield more often, right? So we'll see what that looks like in this offense of 2025. Running back, they got to get more explosive there, right? That feels like a draft because this draft is very running back heavy. Feels like second or third or fourth round pick. Pacheco is great, tough, physical runner. Not the same guy after he got hurt, so you figure he'll be healthier heading into next season. But they need some explosion. They have stopped running screens, and my theory for that is that you can't cut in space anymore. So you can't, as you're running, dive after a defender, which is the way the Chiefs used to teach screens, and it really clears a good path when you just dive at a defender. That defender's got to move out of the way at the minimum, even if you don't get them down. They got to jump, put their hands down, get out of the way, and back goes through. But also, Pacheco, Hunt, they're not screen backs, right? That's not what they do well. You need to find a running back that can do that part of the offense better for Kansas City. That's a good pressure valve. You're playing the Eagles, and they tried one screen to P. Ryan, I think, and Eagles sniffed it out. But you got to get back to running screens, and you need an explosive back to do that. And just add more explosive. You need more explosive options in this offense. Now, let's talk offensive line. Again, guys, there's a good saying that an offensive line coach told me way back in the day. I forget when it was. But like the eye in the sky doesn't lie, right? That's one of them. And then it's never as good, never as bad. So a lot of tweets. Chiefs offensive line stinks. They played poorly, but it wasn't as bad. Wasn't as bad as we think. Okay. Joe Tooney, all-pro, goes back into guard. Creed Humphrey, all-pro, stays at center. And Trey Smith's a Pro Bowler. Like, they have a great interior offensive line. It just was a bad game for them. Now, Trey Smith, the right guard's probably going to franchise. He's making a lot of money. I don't see the Chiefs paying. I was trying to the top of my head the other day. How many players did the Chiefs draft really on the offensive line under Andy Reid that got sort of the second contract? Eric Fisher did, but you had to. He was the first pick overall. I think Larry did. LDT did. That Creed Humphrey. That's 3, right? Because Mitch Morris walked, Wiley walked, Allegretti walked. They just haven't done that in the past. And I would imagine that they're not going to pay Trey $25 to $27 million, whatever he thinks he's going to get this offseason. So you have to find a right guard, and maybe that guy's on the roster. The tackles now. Okay. A lot of tackles. And I know people said, well, why didn't Joe Tooney play left guard and TJ Humphrey play left tackle in the postseason or even in the Super Bowl? Humphrey wasn't able to play. He was a last-ditch resort. He got hurt the first game he played. The Chiefs did not trust him to play left tackle. Andy Reid's a ride the hot hand guy. He rode the hot hand of Joe Thuney, and they were never going to make that change. So that the biggest sort of issue on the offense this season was left tackle, and Joe Thuney fixed it for them for 5 weeks. It did not work in week 6. That's football. So what do they do there? Couple options, right? They've drafted Kingsley Sumatia. He has got to play somewhere next season. Okay, you spend that pick on him somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. Maybe it's right guard. I don't know. And then I'm curious what happens with Jawan Taylor, because Wanya Morris played right tackle Oklahoma, and when he had to play this year, he didn't look bad. And I do wonder if there's a let's get rid of Jawan Taylor, or maybe put him at left tackle and have Wanya play right tackle. So there's guys on the roster. I'm not really sure who they target for agency wise. I don't see them going heavy in free agency on offensive line because they've drafted players and they got to play these guys. Defensively, obviously, you might lose Justin Reed. You might lose Nick Bolton. I just don't think the Chiefs are going to pay those guys. McDuffie, you have to pay him at some point, obviously. Watson's back. You have enough players, Cook and Hicks, you draft on defense. Middle linebacker, got to find a middle linebacker, possibly. That's where maybe free agency's at for middle linebacker. The one thing that is not talked about after this game, I think it's important, is the pass rush was awful in this game. George Karlaftis erased by Lane Johnson. Chris Jones couldn't do it by himself. At pick 31, people say offense. I think the Chiefs have to go defensive tackle. You need to get yourself another ass kicker. You need to get yourself a good pass rusher at 31. They've whiffed on some pass rushers the last 5 years. You need to find one at 31 to pair with Chris Jones. And then after that, offensive line. Again, you have guys on the roster. Offensive line, middle linebacker, maybe running back, another wide receiver. Maybe you look tight end here at some point. But that to me is sort of the plan for the Chiefs this offseason is figuring out what 87 is going to do. How do we figure out an offense with or without him, or with him diminished? How do we do with Rashee Rice missing a couple of games this season? How do we fix offensive line? But they're not just going to stink, okay, right? Like they're going to be a good football team. If they get in the postseason, anything's possible, right? So that's kind of the Chiefs' thoughts on this game, Eagles' thoughts on this game. A lot of fun. Look, continue to go to my social media. I'll be putting up videos throughout the week, man. I keep watching the film, man. So, all right, guys. At Jeff Schwartz on social media, you can find all those clips. I will talk to you guys next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.